Please help me welcome fellow Mustang, Ted Gilvar.
So how y'all doing? I'm from New Jersey. I don't get to say that anymore, so I just thought I would start that way. It's a very convenient word, y'all. So anyway, I want to talk a little bit about Monster and what we've done really to shape the brand and how we bring the brand to life. And I think the key to the success of our brand is pretty similar to others, which is really about how you get at the heart of what the brand really stands for. And the way we've done that, interestingly, is kind of from the inside out. When I was working at BBDO, I actually ran the Monster business as well as others, and one of the things I was charged with is really redefining what the brand stood for. The way I like to think about it, I have a quote from Kurt Cobain, which is not a very normal quote. But if you think about what Kurt Cobain said here, I think it actually really connects to the way you should think about brands. When I was working in the early 1990s at Mullen Advertising in Boston, the founder Jim Mullen said to me that brands are not what we want them to be. Brands are what consumers will allow them to be. Because ultimately, a brand stands for all the thoughts, feelings, associations that people have for it, whether that's what the product is, whether that's the emotional connection they have, whether it's the behavior that they engage with the brand. But you're not allowed to just say, I want the brand to stand for X and move it there, because ultimately consumers are the ones who define what brands are. And it was a pretty astute comment and lesson that he taught me that existed far before social media even existed. But if you think about what's happened with social media, if ever there were a hope that you could define a brand without a consumer telling you what the brand is, that's done. Because people are engaging through social media and consuming brands in a way where they're going to define what the brand means. So you better be true to what the brand really stands for, and you better find what that truth is. So when we think about Monster, what Monster does, we're the worldwide leader in successfully connecting people to job opportunities. It defines what we do. There's people looking for jobs, there's companies looking to hire people. Our job is basically to connect the two of those. But that's not a great way to define the brand, because that is missing emotion. It's missing sort of the glue that would make somebody want to consume our brand versus the litany of choices that they could go to. And so what we needed to do in defining the brand is to try to determine what would make the brand what it is. So we did consumer research, we did employer research, we looked at what the website stood for, we looked at emerging technology that was in the pipeline in terms of how the brand would be defined, we looked at the culture of the company, we looked at the style of the CEO. But there was one thing, actually, that defined the brand for Monster unlike anything else. And I'm going to show you what that was.
When I grow up, I want to file all day.
I want to climb my way up to middle management.
Be replaced on a whim. I want to have a brown nose.
I want to be a yes man.
Yes, woman.
Yes, sir. Coming, sir.
Anything for a raise, sir.
When I grow up,
I want to be underappreciated.
be paid less for doing the same job.
I want to be forced into early retirement.
I wish I could say I created that commercial. I had nothing to do with that commercial. That existed long before me. But if you think about what that commercial does, it's not about connecting people to job opportunities. It's about understanding people's souls. It's about understanding sort of their very essence of what they wanted to be when they grew up. And that is more powerful than anything that would describe what the business is. And when we really look to define the brand and recast it, I look toward that as sort of the most powerful essence of how you could describe what the brand is. So we rewrote the mission of the company. I'm just going to read it to you. Monster pioneered the notion of helping people get more out of work by showing that a better job was out there and helping them find it at Monster. But the workplace has evolved. People expect more control, people seek more perspective, people crave more enrichment. And so we've evolved. We've broadened our lens to be more than just a marketplace for jobs. At Monster, we don't just sell better jobs, we help promote better lives. Because in the end, a better job is much more than that. A better job is a better experience, an experience that leads to better possibilities, better opportunities, better relationships, better perspectives, all working together to improve life along the way. So simply put, our mission is to inspire people to improve their lives. We'll know we've succeeded when our customers have succeeded at living more rewarding, fulfilled, and inspired lives. So the essence of it was really that we inspire people to improve their lives. And when we came up with that language, it was incredibly liberating, even though it was sort of a wedge towards something very specific, because it gave the company actually a whole purpose of what they wanted to do every day. We realized that we're in the business of helping people find better opportunities. And not only did that motivate all the employees to want to come to work every day and work at Monster to do good things, but it also really informed all of our marketing and all of our communication and what we sought to do. And really it was just about inspiring. A brand promise without action is an empty promise. So the next thing we did is we actually recast the values of the company. Give people sort of a playbook of what to work with every day. So excellence served daily, one Monster indivisible, before us the customer, innovate relentlessly, do the right thing, do well by doing good. All these things are values that sort of inform how we do what we do every day. And that together with the brand promise actually gives people a roadmap of how to behave, how to act, and how to deliver what we do. So what I want to do is I want to actually give you 5 takes on inspiration through the lens of actually how we communicate and what we've done. So I'm going to share with you 2009 Super Bowl commercial that we did. I want to talk about Cool Jobs promotion that we put together. I want to show you what we did in 2010 on the Super Bowl and surround sound. I want to share with you some success stories videos that we did. And I want to actually premiere for the US our 2013 ad. It's run in a couple countries in Europe and never run in the US, so you'll be the first to see it. But before I do, I also want to just mention one thing, and that is that both the Cool Jobs promotion and success stories videos were done in partnership with the marketing arm here in Dallas, Texas. So just want to thank them and give a shout out to some Dallas peeps. So first I want to talk a little bit about, it's actually 2009 Super Bowl. So we had been off the Super Bowl at Monster for about 6 years. The year we went off the Super Bowl, our main competitor in the United States, Career Builder, went on to the Super Bowl. And as Career Builder went on, you're probably all quite familiar with their commercials featuring monkeys. They were very good commercials. And at the time we went off of the Super Bowl, they went on it. And to be honest with you, when I got to Monster and got on the brand, I kind of felt like they had taken our lunch money. That they had basically sort of kicked us aside and that we had given up our rightful spot. We were the ones that were on the Super Bowl. We defined our brand with that commercial I showed you at the beginning in a way that was really fundamental to people's understanding of the brand. And so I wanted to end that. I wanted to go back on the Super Bowl. But I didn't want to just go on the Super Bowl and cross our fingers. I wanted to find a way to come up with something that I knew would resonate really well with people. So we did actually a lot of qualitative research before we actually created anything and put pencil to paper. And if you think about 2009, so February 2009, was 6 months into the recession. The recession started essentially in July of 2008. So the psyche of the American worker by February was not a good thing. The research told us that essentially the fundamental tenet of working really hard to get ahead was being challenged for the first time in a long time. So for a brand that's all about work and all about sort of promising that you can improve your life, that was really important for us. And we needed to find a way to communicate with people that would break through the clutter of the Super Bowl, but would also really be empathetic to that feeling of the American worker. So this is what we came up with.
With a totally rebuilt site and over 1 million jobs worldwide, there's never been a better time to go to Monster.com.
So two decidedly different sides of the same moose. I actually had the great fortune that year of going to the Super Bowl. But to be honest with you, I was so stressed out about being on the Super Bowl for the first time that while I was at the game, I was actually in the concourse section where the TVs were on, watching the commercials to see what the competition's commercials were like. And I almost missed an amazing end to that game. It was the Pittsburgh Steelers against the Cardinals with a touchdown catch in the corner, ended the game. And I luckily got back on the field to see that. But the next morning, I got on the plane to come back, and lo and behold, a CMO's dream. Monster and Doritos score big game blitz on the cover of the Wall Street Journal. So that was pretty cool. And the Kellogg School of Northwestern named that commercial the best commercial of the game that year. So that was pretty gratifying. And I think the lesson there is actually that if you really understand the psyche of people and you really do your homework in terms of really researching things before you do it, you can make a big difference. I'm not a big fan of actually copy testing and taking commercials and putting them in and then getting people to vote on whether they like them or not. So we didn't do that, but what we did do is we really did a lot of pre-research to understand people so that when we created what we created, we knew we'd hit the mark. So next thing I want to talk about is our Cool Jobs promotion. And the challenge here is how do you inspire people to understand that there are actually cool jobs on Monster. One of the things that's, we have a challenge in that we are a mass brand, and so we're really a mirror to where the jobs are. So as a consequence, a lot of the jobs that we have are not necessarily the most aspirational jobs. They're everyday jobs that everyday people do all across America every day. But as new technology is emerging and new sources are out there and potentially being viewed by consumers as a little more desirable, a little more sexy, we had to find a way to bring the fact that we have cool jobs to life. And so what we did is we turned to Alicia Keys.
Alicia Keys wants to help you make your life as good as it possibly can be. She's throwing all of her energy into a new project to do just that. Here's a look. And now another big splash and hallmark in her career, a new website for empowering and connecting women. And this morning she's announcing a job search on Monster.com to find her head blogger. Anyone can apply, including men.
I get to offer someone a bona fide official job as the head blogger for IAAS.com. Monster.com and I have partnered. You're going to enter your resume information, your references, all the details are there. Just follow the directions. And then I'm going to team up with an incredible group of judges who are going to help me to choose who has the skills to be my head blogger. The semi-finalists are going to get an opportunity to fly to London to meet me and to attend the Black Ball. And by July, one of you are going to start a brand new career. It's going to be crazy. Believe it. Spread the word.
Top 3 candidate. I have the drive, I can make this happen. It was really intense. I was so nervous after that meeting that I actually threw up. How are you? I'm so well. How are you?
This right here is the lovely lady named Alexis Tirado, who is now the head blogger of IamASuperwoman.com. Congratulations!
So one of the great things about that is what we learned is when you have great content and you find a way to promote it, you can explode the power of it. You think about what's, sort of, I showed you before as a Super Bowl commercial. It's great to do commercials. It's great to have a captive audience. It's great to put compelling content in front of them. But if you find a way to do something that's endemic to your brand and true to what you do and find a way to bring it to life in a really interesting way, you can really explode the value of it. And the unpaid media that we got out of that program was unbelievable. I mean, I don't know if obviously you probably figured it out, but we kicked it off on Good Morning America and then closed it with the concert series in Central Park. That was actually just when Alicia Keys was pregnant. And she hadn't told anyone, so we figured it out that day. But basically, we got unbelievable media coverage. And the cost of doing that program was actually not that much at all. So it worked so well, we decided to do it again, and a few more times. So the first thing we did was actually partnered with Pop Chips, sort of chip brand, and Ashton Kutcher, who was on their board, to search for a director of pop culture, and did a similar program to the one that we just did with Alicia Keys, and we really fast-tracked it. And what that drove was 174,000 job views and 38,000 people applying to one job in literally a 8-week period. So again, not that expensive a program, finding a way to make the content compelling, and pulled it through with video and site content and everything, and it worked like crazy. Just after that happened, I don't know if you remember, but Gilbert Gottfried, who was the voice of the Aflac duck, decided to disparage Japanese earthquake victims after the earthquake happened, which one never knows why someone would do that, but Aflac decided to get rid of him as the spokesperson. So as soon as that happened, we quickly I called the CMO of Aflac, said, hey, we just did this thing with Alicia Keys, just did this thing with Ashton Kutcher, maybe we could help you find a new spokesduck. And so it's come to spokesducks, can you believe it? But anyway, so we quickly created microsites on Facebook and on Monster, and helped Aflac find a new spokesduck. And we had 19,000 people apply to that job in 6 weeks. And the social media and PR power of that was tremendous, because obviously you had a perfect storm of somebody that did something really stupid, got a lot of attention for it, and then we did a judo move on it, sort of turned it sideways and turned a negative into a positive, and it worked great for Aflac as well. And then the last thing we did is we actually worked with Mario Batali, the chef, and tried to help him find a production coordinator for his expanding food empire. So he knows a lot about cooking, a lot about running restaurants, but knows nothing about production, and turned to us to sort of help him do that. And with that one, we had some more lead time, we had some more runway to actually surround it with the right kind of content. We drove 1 million job views, and 50,000 people applied to one single job. And again, the PR and social coverage we were able to get out of that was just fantastic. It worked so well in the US that last year we decided to take it global. So we, working with the marketing arm, we actually found a really cool opportunity from a Formula One team based in the UK, and partnered with them not to fill one job, but to actually fill 41 jobs over the course of the year for their entire team. So they were sort of a bottom of the rung Formula One team, looking to move up the ladder and try to find new ways to be successful. And they were looking for aerodynamicists, they were looking for pit crew people, they were looking for mechanics, they were looking for hospitality people, and they worked with us to find the entire lot of all those people. So in addition to just sponsoring it and being on sleeves of workers and pit crews and all those things, we drove a tremendous amount of interest in jobs. So there we had 885,000 views across 100 countries, given the power of Formula One. Not as big here in the US, but it's Formula One on a given weekend, 600 million people across the globe watch Formula One races. So it was a great way for us to take this idea and take it global. I'll just show you a quick video of how we did this.
There are 4,500 parts to do a Formula One car. You can't go racing with 4,490. Every element needs to be in place. I immediately liked the idea of the monster cool jobs. And I think that in Formula One, there's a whole variety of cool jobs.
I think the people in key positions are very important. A successful team in Formula One is like having a gearbox with 500 gears in, and every gear has to clip into each other at the right time, the right moment. It's not a one-man show.
It's our job to build the best team. That's where working with Monster gives us a huge advantage.
Working with Monster and using the technologies is helping us kind of to widen the scope in terms of the recruitment pond, if you like, that we're recruiting from.
We've talked about this business being a people business, and Monster brings us a unique perspective. Its reach is bigger than any other Formula One team has at its fingertips. If we can create a network to capture talent, capturing talent is what's going to move this team forward. Monster's going to give us that pace which we need to grow our business.
The other thing I'll mention is for all those cool jobs things, the other thing that was really important to us is we invented a technology called Sixth Sense technology. What that is semantic search. It's a really smart search engine that understands the semantics behind the meanings of words. And so what it does is it matches resumes and people that come in with job opportunities with unbelievable precision. And why that's important is this program actually not only drew a tremendous amount of interest from job seekers and social media and public relations power, but it was the perfect thing to showcase the power of this technology. So if you had 35,000 people applying to one job, how do you find the right person out of that? Well, what happened is we put the Sixth Sense technology on all 35,000 people, or in the case of Mario Batali, 50,000 people, and we brought him the perfect 10 candidates out of those 50,000 people, and he was able to, Mario Batali found somebody who had, who spoke Italian, had studied food in Italy, and had a degree in production from the university. And so he found the perfect person. And for us, that was a great way to showcase this to our employer audience, who actually is trying to buy our services, to show them the power of the technology. So 2010, it was time to go back on the Super Bowl. And we wanted to build on the success that we had the year before. But this year we sort of had three different objectives. The first thing we wanted to do is we wanted to do really well in the USA ad meter. We had done okay the year before, but in terms of really sort of exploding the public relations power of being on there, we wanted to make sure that the kind of commercial we created would be wildly popular with a mass audience and would really do well in the ad meter. The second thing we wanted to do is we wanted to keep doing what we did the year before in terms of empathy and finding a way to connect with people. Because in 2009, it wasn't a whole lot better. I mean, in 2010, it wasn't a whole lot better than it was in 2009. You still had the hangover of the recession, and really we wanted to find a way, in its simplest form, to offer help and hope to people at a time that needed it. And then the third thing we wanted to do is we wanted to find a way that we created a platform that would, based on all the things I just described from the Cool Jobs campaign, explode the power of what we did. We wanted to take the moment in time of the Super Bowl and find a way to not just run a commercial and cross our fingers, but to surround it with all kinds of content to make sure that we magnified the benefit of what we got. So here's what we did.
The figures would be bad.
Monster.com, the world's largest job recruitment site, wanted to turn the conversation positive again. Welcome, the Fiddling Beaver. Industrious, determined, optimistic, and furry, the beaver represented the spirit of the American worker. To introduce the Fiddling Beaver, Monster bought airtime on the Super Bowl, but his introduction to the world would come earlier. We began by leaking and seeding underground footage of a mysterious beaver playing the fiddle in the subway. The Fiddling Beaver got a Twitter account, as well as a Facebook page. Then, at the moment of the Super Bowl kickoff, we launched fiddleafriend.com, a microsite where people can create their own personalized videos starring the beaver. We created and seeded mashed up videos starring the beaver, hoping that people would take the idea and make it their own. This social media campaign garnered millions of dollars in free positive press. In the end, more than 2 million people interacted with the Fiddling Beaver online, and Monster has established itself as the leader for tomorrow's better, brighter economy.
My director Jimmy cleaned me out on Beaver playing fiddle and soaking in hot tub with blonde to sell Monster.com.
So the interesting thing about that is we really did approach that very small at the beginning. I was telling some of the story earlier. The first thing we did when we decided we wanted to do this program is we figured every college in America that actually had beavers for mascots, so Oregon State, MIT, there's like 10 schools in the country that, believe it or not, have a beaver for their mascot. We sent the commercial in advance to the universities and tried to create a groundswell of interest among the universities. And then we Googled every single bar in America that had beaver in the title of the bar. And we sent them the commercial ahead of time, and we said, please share this with your patrons. This is going to be on during the game. We'd love it if you and your beaver bar would actually support our commercial. I can't actually say that that was wildly successful, but I think 10 people talk to 10 people, talk to 20 people, talk to 100 people, and ultimately that's how social media takes hold. So the one thing I would say is you just cannot argue with the success of that. So in typical TV viewership of a Super Bowl is about 100 million people. So when you look at the impressions, you get about 100 million impressions just from advertising on the game. In 2009, when we did our Moose commercial, we surrounded it with PR, but that was pretty much it. We generated 200 million impressions, so we doubled the audience that we saw in the game. With our surround sound Fiddling Beaver, we generated 800 million impressions. So 4 times the amount from just a year earlier. Now, obviously, social media was exploding at that time. So Twitter and Facebook and all these things were taking off, and we timed it really right. But everyone always talks about the Super Bowl, and they say, how could you possibly spend $3 million on a 30-second commercial? Or now it's $4 million on a 30-second commercial. That's the answer right there. Because if you do it right, and you surround it with content, I defy you to find anything you could do for $4 million that would generate 800 million impressions. So it can work. Talk a little bit about success stories. At the same time as that recessionary hangover was still going on, we had to find a way to take the inspiration that we were trying to do and pull that throughout the year. And so, you know, there's different ways to inspire people. Obviously, what I just described is sort of a funny, fun-loving, silly way. You know, the Moose was obviously a funny way. This was different. Well, here we wanted to actually find a way to show how Monster actually puts people in jobs. We have a bit of a conundrum as a business in that we create these connections between people, but we have no idea if they actually get jobs or not. No customers tell us when they hire people because they don't want to pay us any more than they already would. No job seeker tells us because they go off to their job and they forget where they got their job. It's not like they send us thank you letters for getting their job. So what that creates is a bit of a void in whether people believe that we find jobs for people or not. Now obviously we get 20, 30 million people that come visit our site every month, so they wouldn't be coming if it wasn't working, and we have $1 billion in revenue globally, and we wouldn't be getting that revenue if something wasn't working. But we had to find a way to try to shine a light on the fact that we actually help people find jobs. So, again, credits to the marketing arm on this.
When you can see the smile on someone's face, to me that's the greatest joy that I can receive. Helping people with their prosthetics became a passion of mine, and Monster helped me find that passion. My name is Dan Blasini. I'm a nurse case manager with Hanger Prosthetics. Working with people that were, traumatically injured, even drinking a glass of water, we need to take a sense of appreciation for yourself that you can do it. I'm incredibly involved with my patients. I've seen their kids grow up, so working with the whole family, not only treating that patient, you have to treat everyone around them so the patient can succeed in life. And I'm very inspired by that. All my life, I was always trying to challenge myself, even as a nurse. I still wasn't fulfilled. And then I put my resume on Monster. I automatically got 126 phone calls and emails from individuals wanting to hire me and talk with me. Monster was the catalyst to put me where I'm at today. My first day on the job was awesome. I saw things that the average person hardly ever sees in their whole life. Patients who suffer from limb loss were coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan when someone put a device on, changed their life. So they were able to become self-sufficient and start challenging themselves. And you're with them doing it, so it's fun. My advice to job seekers is to let your passion show. When you're doing the right thing, you're gonna shine. That really sinks in well with an employer. Good job. My patients are truly my heroes. I've seen so much pain and suffering, and the will to go forward is unbelievable. We're proud of you. I feel Monster did help put me on the road for success because it put me in a situation to help other people change their lives. So you better believe it. It did change my life.
One more. I'll show you one more. This is a big series. I'm just showing you a couple.
My life changed 180 degrees when I got my job on Monster.com. Now I enjoy every day. I always look forward to going to work rather than dreading it. It doesn't feel like work. It's something I enjoy doing. My name is Greg Drevenstedt. I'm the road test editor for Writer magazine. A couple of years before I went to look for a new job, I really had a lot of things happen in my life that really brought me to a low. I was living in New Orleans when Hurricane Katrina struck. About 6 months after that, my marriage fell apart. The career path I had been on was really sucking the life out of me. I was kind of at my wit's end, and I needed to make a change. My dad used to take me on motorcycle rides when I was a kid. I fell in love as soon as I started to ride. On a whim, I just put in motorcycle as a search term, and then bam. The very first thing that popped up was the road test editor at Writer magazine. At first, I thought I would not be qualified for the job. I've never been a journalist. I've never worked in the motorcycle industry. I had to set those doubts aside. I crafted my cover letter, edited my resume multiple times, and the dream job became a reality. This is the particular bike that's got the technology. As road test editor, the #1 responsibility is testing motorcycles. I've got to put together a feature story. I do photo shoots, video for our website. This is Greg Drevenstedt, road test editor for Writer magazine. When I tell people about this great job that I have, I also tell them that I found it through Monster.com because you never really know what's out there. It's almost like having a soulmate. Some people feel that you search your entire life for your soulmate. Well, you can also have a soulmate in terms of a job. It's not just that I've got this cool job where I get to ride motorcycles and be on the cover of magazines, but I've really got my life back together. It's amazing. I didn't give up hope, even though I felt like I had just about lost everything. My life was turned around by Monster.com, and the same can happen for you.
So a pretty cool, very different way at Inspiration. But what we did is we took all these videos, we populated a microsite with them, drove people to them, promoted them on Facebook, promoted them on Twitter, and all told, over about a 3-month period, we drove about 1 million views of these videos with no paid activation whatsoever. So it shows you that if you can find a way, again, to create some compelling content, and in this case, hopefully pull at some heartstrings, but also show us the benefit of what we do and how we help people, you can actually get a lot of traction out of it. The last thing I want to show is I want to talk about the advertising that we've created this year. And the challenge now is interesting. So I talked before about people during the recession really feeling like there were no jobs and needing to be inspired to even just start searching. The interesting thing now is we did research for this work, and we did research in Paris, in Germany, in London, and a couple places in the United States. And the same thing held true across the world. The recession has eased. People are feeling better than they were, certainly in 2010 and 2009, but no one is looking for a job. They're all entrenched and just going through the motions of what they're doing. There's a ton of dissatisfied people out there who are actually going to work every day, aren't that happy about it, aren't advancing the way they want to, but aren't doing anything about it. So the challenge, again, through the insight we learned in the qualitative research before we did this, was the job of the advertising, in this case, was grabbing people by the lapel, shaking them out of their slumber and saying, it's time to look for a new job, and we can help you do that. And so that's what this does.
Work.
Good. So it's going well in Europe, but we haven't started in the US, so who the heck knows? But so I wanted to just go back to the simple word inspire, because it's interesting. I mean, I think people think about